Truck drivers, you might be asked to do something illegal, which is very common in our industry. But how are you gonna handle it, and are you gonna allow somebody to force you to do something illegal? Well, here's a list that I've compiled of the most common things that truck drivers get asked to do that are illegal. Let's get into them. Now make sure you stay until the end because I'm gonna tell you how to handle a situation like this and make sure that that company will never ask you to do anything illegal moving forward. All right, so let's start off with number one, personal conveyance, okay? You might be asked to do a pickup or a delivery under personal conveyance. Now you gotta make sure that this does not happen to you. Now you need to understand that police officers, scale houses are very smart and they can pick this up really quickly through your bill of lading. Your bill of lading can tell you exactly what time you were somewhere or when you checked in and what time you checked out. So make sure you watch out for that. Number two, a lot of drivers are getting asked to deactivate their logs. So when they are coming out of hours, they just deactivate their logs and then they arrive to a certain location. So let's say a driver was driving from Toronto to Chicago, Illinois. He has another hour or two left to get to Chicago. He or she would deactivate their logs and then would reactivate them in Chicago, Illinois. So here's what happens on the back end. So a safety department will probably get a notification saying that there is unassigned driving. So every morning when a safety manager walks in, he sees multiple emails of unassigned driving and it's their duty to dig into it a little bit further. Now, unassigned driving, you need to understand when a company has an audit, that's the first place that they look at is unassigned driving, and every single one of those miles have to be accounted for. All right, number three, doing a pickup or a delivery off duty. So a driver arrives to a pickup or a delivery, they tell him to go into dock number 11, he comes into dock number 11 and now he takes himself off duty. Now as they start offloading the driver is still in an off duty status, putting himself on literally once the shipment is empty. There are justifications on when to do this and when not to do it, but a lot of companies are asking drivers to do a pickup or a delivery off duty. All right, number four, hauling weights that are not allowed. Driver will call a dispatcher after he's loaded and scaled. He says, listen, my axle is overweight. Dispatcher will tell the driver, oh, it's okay, bypass the scales, or it's okay, run like that, the scales are closed anyway. So being asked to haul weights that you're not allowed to, that's number four. Number five, disconnecting your ABS. There's so many comments that I receive on this where a driver or a dispatcher tells the driver to disconnect the lights or cut the wire right before he gets into a scale house, because if the scale house sees that the ABS light is flashing, the driver's gonna get a ticket for that. Number six, very, very big one, is running interstate loads as a Canadian or a Mexican carrier is illegal and you're not allowed to do it. So a Canadian, just like ET Transport, cannot go into the US, deliver a load, and then do an interstate load. So Ohio to Illinois, Illinois to Michigan. We can only pick up a load in the US that goes into Canada. And the same thing with Mexican drivers. Mexican drivers can come into the US, do a delivery, pick up another load, and go back into Mexico. Now, I want you to know that there's a lot of fraud around this, and there's a lot of Canadian carriers doing interstate loads, and there's a lot of Mexican carriers doing interstate loads. I really hope that, the US will get a better handle on this, because I truly believe that this is 100% wrong, and I have met some Canadian carriers that do this, and it's really sad, and they're not allowed to, and I wish that the US cracks down on this. Number seven, running a team as a solo driver. So I've heard of drivers when they call in or when we do the consultations where their dispatcher will log into their ELDs, will put a fake driver in there, put a ghost driver in there, and pretend like they are team drivers. So they start off as if they are two drivers. One of them will do, the 5, 6, 7 hours to begin with. The second driver will log in and will do the remainder 11 hours of that trip. But driver number one is not a real driver, or driver number two is not a real driver. However they play it, I don't know exactly how, but running a team as a solo driver is illegal. Now, what happens if you're ever asked to do one of these things, guys? Probably the most important part of this video. So a lot of drivers, dispatchers or companies are going to try to push you to the limit. You need to understand that if God forbid something happens on the road, they're not the ones going to jail. They're not the ones getting the ticket. You as the driver are going to jail. You are the driver as getting a ticket. So I've seen drivers get sentenced for much longer durations, of recent, when they are falsifying logs and getting into an accident. They're actually getting charged. They're actually getting criminal records for it. Now, I truly believe that none of this was worth it, and you need to set the tone to the company of what is allowed and what you are allowing and what you're not allowing. So if you ever asked to do one of these things, all you got to do is you have to finish that conversation and then recap that conversation in an email to your dispatch or to your safety department. Good morning, John. I just received a call from you, and I was asked to do, to do a delivery or to do a pickup on personal conveyance. I really don't feel comfortable doing that, and draft up a nice email and send it off to your dispatch and safety team. And now you have something on record. You have an email, and see how they respond to that email. Very, very important is how much you will allow people to push you in that wrong direction, okay? So a dispatcher might ask you to do something illegal, and then he'd get away with it, and then he will continue to ask you to do certain things unless you put a stop on it from day one. Now, I'm sure I missed a lot of things of what drivers get asked to do. Feel free to put some more comments down below and let me know what else you get asked to do that's illegal. Hopefully you learned something from this video. I'm Ronen, and I'll catch you in my next video.